Tom apologized for everything, not just the things that deserved apologies. Everything. Sorry for asking a question in class. Sorry for walking through a doorway at the same time as someone else. Sorry for existing in a hallway that another person also wanted to use. Sorry for taking up space on a bench at lunch. He had been doing this for as long as he could remember. It felt polite. It felt considerate. It felt like the decent, unobtrusive thing to do. And then one afternoon, Young Hee stopped him mid-apology. He had just said sorry for accidentally making eye contact with her and said something that Tom had absolutely no response to. "Tom," she said, "what exactly are you apologizing for?" He opened his mouth and realized he had no idea. "I made eye contact with you," Tom said. "By accident." "Yes," said Young Hee. And that's I don't know. It felt like I should apologize." Young Hee looked at him for a long moment with the expression of someone processing something genuinely unexpected. "Tom," she said carefully, "do you think your existence requires an apology?" Tom opened his mouth, closed it, "Because," she continued, "you apologize for taking up space, for having needs, for being present, for asking questions, for making eye contact." She paused. "None of those things require an apology. They are just you being here." Tom stood in the hallway and felt something shift slowly, uncomfortably somewhere inside him. In Korean elementary school textbooks, one of the most important values children learn is jagi janjing. Self-respect. Jagi means self. Janjing means respect, the same word used for respecting others. Jagi janjing is not arrogance. It is not selfishness. It is not thinking you are better than other people. It is treating yourself with the same basic dignity you extend to others. Korean textbooks teach children that you cannot genuinely respect others if you have no respect for yourself. That kindness extended outward while treating yourself as unworthy is not sustainable. That the foundation of how you treat the world begins with how you treat the person inside your own life. Jagi janjing, not more than others, not less than others, the same. Korean textbooks teach children a fact that sounds simple and lands differently every time. There is nobody else like you. Not as a compliment, as a statement of fact. In the entire history of the world and all the billions of people who have ever lived, there has never been anyone with exactly your combination of thoughts, experiences, ways of seeing, ways of responding, things that make you laugh, things that keep you up at night. You are the only version of you that will ever exist. This is not a reason for pride. It is a reason for care. When something is genuinely one of a kind, when there is no replacement, no duplicate, no second copy, it deserves to be treated accordingly. Jagi janjing begins with this recognition, not I am special because I am better, but I matter because I am irreplaceable. And irreplaceable things deserve to be treated well. Over the next few days, Tom started noticing something that he had previously called being considerate. He never said what he wanted. When the group was deciding where to eat, whatever everyone else prefers. When someone asked if he liked a particular music, I don't really have strong opinions. When his classmates asked what game to play, you all decide, I'm fine with anything. He had always thought of this as being easygoing, as not being difficult, as making things easy for the people around him. But sitting with Young Hee's question, do you think your existence requires an apology? He started looking at it differently. He wasn't being easygoing. He was disappearing, quietly, consistently, with a smile, making himself smaller and smaller until he took up as little space as possible. And calling it consideration. Chul-soo explained it the way he explained most things without making it feel like a lecture. Jagi janjing doesn't mean putting yourself first, he said. It means not putting yourself last. What's the difference? Tom asked. Putting yourself first means your needs matter more than others. Jagi janjing means your needs matter as much as others. Not more. The same. Tom thought about this. But if I always say what I want, isn't that selfish? Is it selfish when Young Hee says she prefers Korean food? Chul-soo asked. Is it selfish when I say I don't like horror movies? No, Tom said slowly. Then why is it selfish when you do it? Tom had no answer. Because there wasn't one. There was just the rule, his rule, the one he had never examined, that other people's preferences were worth stating and his were not. Korean textbooks teach that Jagi janjing has 3 parts. The first, knowing your own feelings and needs, and treating them as real. Not dismissing them, not minimizing them, not deciding that what you feel doesn't count because other people might feel differently. Your experience of your own life is real and it matters. The second, speaking honestly about who you are. Not performing a version of yourself designed to be maximally acceptable to the maximum number of people. Being willing to say, this is what I think, this is what I like, this is who I am, and trusting that the people worth keeping in your life will value the real version. The third, being as kind to yourself as you would be to a good friend. This last one is the one Korean textbooks return to again and again. Because most people would never say to a friend what they say to themselves every day. Young Hee asked Tom a question he had never been asked before. If your best friend made the mistake you made yesterday, what would you say to them? Tom thought about it. I'd say it's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. It doesn't mean anything about who they are. And what did you say to yourself when you made the same mistake? Tom went quiet, because what he had said to himself was considerably less kind than that. Jaggi Jongjing, Young Hee said, is not complicated. It is just applying to yourself the basic standards of decency you already apply to everyone else. Tom sat with this. He would never say to Chul Soo what he said to himself when he failed at something. He would never say to Young Hee what he said to himself when he was embarrassed. He had a separate standard. One for other people, warm, understanding, generous. One for himself, much harder, much less forgiving. And he had never noticed. Korean textbooks are careful about something that is easy to confuse. Jaggi Jongjing is not the same as thinking you are better than others. Arrogance looks up at other people and finds them wanting. It needs to be superior to feel secure. Jaggi Jongjing doesn't look up or down. It stands level. It says, I am worth treating well. And so are you. Both things are true simultaneously, without contradiction. Korean children learn that genuine self-respect actually makes you better at respecting others. Not worse. Because when you are not running on empty, when you are not constantly depleting yourself while pretending you have no needs, you have more to give. More patience. More genuine generosity. More capacity to actually show up for the people you care about. Jaggi Jongjing is not selfish. It is the foundation that makes real generosity possible. Tom tried it for the first time the following Tuesday. The group was deciding where to eat. Someone asked what he wanted. And instead of, whatever everyone else prefers, he said, I'd actually like Korean food tonight, if that works. It came out slightly stiffly. The words felt unfamiliar in his mouth, like speaking a language he knew in theory but had never actually spoken. Chul Soo said, great, me too. Young Hee said, perfect. And they went and got Korean food. Nobody made it a moment. Nobody commented on the fact that Tom had stated a preference. It was just a person saying what they wanted, other people responding to that, and the group making a decision together. Tom walked to the restaurant feeling something he couldn't immediately name. Later he realized what it was. Like he was actually there. Not performing, being there. Actually there. Present. A real participant in his own evening rather than a guest who had been allowed to tag along. In Korean schools, Jaggi Jongjing is practiced in small deliberate ways. Children are asked regularly, what do you think? Not, what is the right answer, but, what do you actually think? They are encouraged to name their feelings accurately. Not, I'm fine, when they are not fine. Not, it doesn't matter, when it does. The actual feeling. The real experience. They learn that having opinions is not rude. That having preferences is not selfish. That saying, I don't like this, or, I would prefer that, is not a demand, it is information. Information that the people who care about you need in order to actually care for you. Korean children are taught that the person who never says what they need, who always defers, always accommodates, always disappears quietly into whatever shape the situation requires, is not being kind. They are making themselves unavailable for genuine connection. Because connection requires two real people. And a person who is always disappearing into other people's preferences is only offering half of themselves to every relationship they are in. Something unexpected happened as Tom started practicing Jaggi Jongjing. His relationships got better, not worse. Better. Chul Soo said something to him about 3 weeks in that Tom didn't expect. You're easier to be around now, Chul Soo said. What do you mean? I'm more demanding. No, Chul Soo said. Before, I never knew what you actually thought about anything. You always agreed with whatever was happening. It was I didn't know who I was talking to. Tom thought about this. Now I know when you like something and when you don't. I know what actually matters to you. It's easier, more real. Jaggi Jongjing, Tom was beginning to understand, was not a transaction that cost other people something. It was the thing that made him someone worth knowing. Tom also worked on the apologies. Not all of them. Some apologies were entirely appropriate, the ones for actual mistakes, actual harm, actual times he had done something worth apologizing for. Those he kept, and meant more fully than he had before. But the other ones, the sorry for existing ones, the sorry for taking up space ones, the sorry for having a need ones, those he started noticing. And stopping. It was harder than it sounded. The apology reflex had 11 years of practice behind it. It arrived automatically, before he had finished deciding whether it was warranted. But he started catching it. Noticing the impulse. Asking, did I actually do something that requires an apology? Or am I just apologizing for being here? And when the answer was the second one, he let the apology go. Said nothing. Or said something else. Something that took up the appropriate amount of space. It was small. It was quiet. Nobody noticed. But Tom noticed. Korean textbooks teach children something that sounds obvious and isn't. You deserve what you give. The patience you extend to your friends when they make mistakes, you deserve that from yourself. The encouragement you offer people who are struggling, you deserve that from yourself. The basic assumption of good faith you extend to strangers, that they are doing their best, that their difficulties are real, that they deserve kindness even when they are not at their best, you deserve that from yourself too. Jagi Janjing is not a complex philosophy. It does not require extensive self-examination or elaborate practice. It is mostly just applying to yourself the standards you already apply to everyone else. Stopping the double standard, the one that says other people's needs are worth taking seriously and yours are not. Other people's feelings are real and yours are inconvenient. Other people deserve patience and you deserve to be harder on yourself. That double standard, that one, dropping it. That evening, Tom sat by his window and thought about space. Not physical space, the other kind. The space a person takes up just by being present, by having opinions, preferences, feelings, a perspective on things that is genuinely their own. He had been taking up as little of it as possible for as long as he could remember. Compressing himself, apologizing for the remainder, calling it consideration. And Young Hee had asked, do you think your existence requires an apology? The answer, he was slowly understanding, was no. His existence did not require an apology. It required care, attention, the basic dignified assumption that he was worth taking seriously, that his feelings were real, that his preferences counted, that the person inside his life deserved to be treated with at least as much kindness as he gave to everyone else. Jagi Janjing, not more than others, just not less. He thought he might be able to manage that. A few weeks later, Young Hee said something to Tom that he would think about for a long time. You're different, she said. Better or worse? He asked. More, she said. You're more. Tom didn't know what to say to that. Before, she said, I couldn't tell what you actually thought about anything. You were agreeable, everywhere, but I didn't know you. She paused. Now I do. And it's better. You being more of yourself makes more to know. More to actually be friends with. Tom walked home that afternoon feeling something that was becoming more familiar. Not proud, not accomplished, just present, like he had finally arrived somewhere he had been traveling toward for a while. Like the person taking up space in his own life was someone he was beginning to genuinely recognize. Korean children don't learn Jagi Janjing as a lesson about their own happiness. They learn it as a lesson about what they bring to every relationship, every community, every room they walk into. The person who respects themselves, who knows what they think, who says what they need, who treats themselves with basic dignity is a more complete presence in the world. More real, more available for genuine connection. More able to give from a place of actual abundance rather than from the depleted place of someone who has been disappearing for a very long time. Jagi Janjing is not a gift you give yourself instead of others. It is the foundation from which you give to others genuinely. Tom was beginning to understand this. Not as a concept, as something he could actually feel in the difference between showing up to a conversation as a full person and showing up as someone who was trying to take up as little space as possible. The first was better for everyone, including the people he cared about. Korean children don't learn Jagi Janjing because someone told them they were special. They learn it because they are taught from the very beginning that every person is the only version of themselves that will ever exist. That this fact alone is reason enough for basic care. That the world they are part of is better, more complete, more real, more genuinely human when each person in it shows up as themselves rather than as a carefully compressed version designed to minimize friction. Tom thought about Young Hee's question. About, do you think your existence requires an apology? He thought about the Korean food. About being actually there instead of performing being there. About more. Jagi Janjing. Not a grand gesture. Not a dramatic transformation. Just stopping the apologies that weren't warranted. Saying what you actually prefer when someone asks. Treating yourself with the basic kindness you would give a good friend. And discovering, in the process, that the person who shows up when you stop disappearing is someone worth showing up for. So here is your question for today. What are you apologizing for that doesn't need an apology? And what would change in your relationships, in how you show up, in how fully you are actually present if you stopped? Tell us in the comments. Because Jagi Janjing stories, the ones about stopping the disappearing, are some of the most important ones we have. Thank you for watching K Morals, where we explore the small but powerful lessons that Korean children carry with them for life. If this episode gave you something, please like and subscribe. See you next time on K Morals.